Hey guys, what's up? It's Ace Maven. I want to share a little video with you about all things cannons. So just thought I'd do a short thing here talking about my favorite weapon in the game, cannons. So I've got my standard Gold Rush loadout here, basically all cannons. Got small cannon there, big cannon there. And deathmatch on Serpent Plains with a bunch of bots. So offline game. And I just want to cover, let me adjust my headset. Just want to cover like a couple things here about mostly range and leading. I'm trying to account for distance and movement. Just to give kind of an overview of them. They take a little bit, I think, to really kind of master. But, you know, once you really get a hang of them, I mean, they're such an effective weapon. First, if you'll see, I mean, for small cannons, you know, you're really looking at a pretty good, like, rate of fire. I mean, it's not bad. You know, you're really kind of pounding away, and if you look at the heat over here, I mean, I got both of them shooting simultaneously, and it's taking a lot to really raise the heat level. Now, of course, if you're shooting, like, a large weapon in conjunction with that, it's going to raise a lot faster, but you can kind of lay in with your small cannons, at least on a Gold Rush for, and I assume for most of the other grinders, without worrying too much about heat. So the next thing I want to talk about here is range. This is probably one of the most important things to know for cannons. So first I'm going to look at the large cannon. So I'm pretty straight head on here. I'm not sort of shooting at an upward angle or a downward angle for so much. And if you look at your rangefinder here, we're at about 500 meters, 460. This is going to be, I'm just talking about the large cannon now. Totally effective range for large cannon. You're almost hitting right on your bullseye. So if a target is within 500 meters, you can just train your reticle right on it, just train your bullseye right on it, and fire away. You don't really have to worry about range too much. Here's 750, okay? So at 750, you're still pretty much within the inner circle. Okay, you're definitely getting a little drop, but you even saw that one was kind of within the same level as the pinpoint, as the bullseye. You start to get a little bit of variance at that level. If you remember at the 500, 460, you're pretty much dead on. You're hitting dead on, and look how fast that thing is moving. It is cruising. So 500 meters, you're doing fine. 750, okay, you're getting a little drop, a little sway, but for the most part, you can still aim with your dot, with your bullseye. Okay, so let's look at sort of our next range level here at about 1,000 meters, if I can get something scoped out. So I didn't really plan this ahead of time a whole ton. Let me just find something that's about 1,000 there. That's about 1,000. A nice vein of ore right there, which I'd love to mine. So here's 1,000 meters almost exactly. Now what you'll start to notice here at 1,000 is that you're still pretty much within the main circle, okay? So 1,000 meters is kind of your limit in terms of, like, if you train your reticle on something even, you know, that far off, or where did I go here? That's too far. I think I was over here on Fraggle, yeah. So if you're aiming at something, you see the reticle there at about that distance, so it was about right there, you can kind of still shoot at it, train your dot on it, and fire. You're just getting a little bit of drop, but at that distance you can kind of expect a little variance anyway, but you can see you're still pretty much hitting the bullseye. That's about the limit for cannon to keep it trained. After 1,000 meters, you have to start accounting for drop. So let me get to about 1,500, because that's our next, here we go, 1,500. Now with 1,500, what you're gonna start to see is the shell will hit at about the bottom perimeter of your reticle, okay, or reticule, whatever this thing is called. I'll just call it the reticle. I'll set it. Uh-oh. Stop shooting me. What are you doing? Leave me alone. I'm busy. I'm making a YouTube video. You nasty, nasty thing. You want some of this? You want some Ace Maven? Come get it. Watch me shred this silly gold rush. You want some too? Bye-bye. Alright, you messed up my range. 7. Where am I? Need to find my 1,000-meter mark again here. Bear with me. We'll get there. Had to lay some carnage on these beasts. Messing me up. Where was I? I had like a perfect 1,000-meter mark. So, yeah, that's too far. 7. Man, it was like perfect. Hang on, YouTube family. Don't you love it when like companies will call you like a family? They'll be like, welcome to the family of window treatments, and you're like, dude, I'm not like part of your family. Like, if you're gonna call me family, like loan me some money or something, you know, like give me some free window treatments. All right, so here we are at 1,000 meters. Now what I was saying, at about 1,000 meters you have to start accounting for drop, but that drop will occur right at that bottom range of your reticle. Okay, so watch. Boom. See, right at that bottom circle. 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters. And it's consistent. So that's the lovely thing about ballistic trajectories. They're consistent. Okay, if you're shooting at the same velocity, it's going to fall at the same rate. So at 1,000 meters, you can expect it to fall to right at the bottom of your reticle. Okay, so there you go. All you have to do, which I know people are getting much more used to, hang on, one of my lenses is fogging up a little, I gotta fix this. All you have to kind of get a little bit used to is dropping down that thing. Check your range, 760 meters, so that means I could keep it right on, as long as there's not a hill in your way. That means I could keep it right on him. Let's see where this rook is. There, 870 meters, that means I could keep it on him, remember? At less than 1,000, you can keep it trained on him, so don't worry too much. Now, sure, again, there's going to be that little bit of variance. Remember, that starts happening at about 750 meters, but you don't have to expect too much drop with less than 1,000. Now, if you're looking at something, how far away are these guys? 1,300 meters. Okay, this is a good example of our next one. So it's at 1,300. Here he's at about 1,000, so let's put it sort of right at the bottom here, right? And wait for that guy to get out of the way. And boom. Now watch, right in the cockpit, right in the old kisser, twice. Aim it, put the bottom of your reticle where you want to hit. I've got 4 or 5 hits on this guy. I can just keep blasting him all day. And I love doing this. It does not have as much damage. You're losing some velocity. So really just pecking away like this is not exactly what you want to be doing with the cannon, okay? But if you know those guys are out there and you're waiting to, you know, see where the action is, this guy's within 1,000, that guy's pretty close, that's a hit, that guy's close enough, that guy's close, I think I got him in the leg. Okay, you can just, once you get used to ranges and dropping, I'm hitting all these guys, as you can see. You can just sort of peg away. I mean, it's like, you know, especially with bots, it's like so much fun because you can actually just take your time and do a little, like, you know, little target practice here. It's so great. Okay, so we talked about 1,000 meters. Now 1,500, 2,000, and 2,500. All right, let's get something about 1,500 meters away. That's 1,800, it's a little far. All right, there's 1,500 meters. 1,500 meters, you can expect obviously a little bit more drop, but it's not, it's about one and a half from where you are, okay? So even at 1,500, you can see if you're training the bottom of, what are you doing? Why are you shooting me? My own bot is blowing me up. Who was it? Cherry, is that you? BMO. It sounds like Electric Light Orchestra or something. I swear it's like some kind of band name. All right, so about 1,500 meters. You're getting, I'm kind of aiming a little bit downhill here. You can as you can see, this one's not, it's kind of hitting toward the bottom of the reticle. Let's just go jump a tiny bit above 1500 to 1600, and you'll see it's going to hit about another half below. That one hit, of course, right where it's supposed to. You know why? Because I'm aiming downhill, that's why. All right, well, I may be sort of belaboring a point, because the idea is that you can account for the drop, okay? So what I would sort of recommend, I don't need to show you all of them here. You know, at 2,500, for example, I love pegging people at 2,500 because they never expect it. They think you're like so far away, and you know, sometimes sure if there's a rail gun that far shooting at you, maybe, but with a cannon, it's just sort of like, what the heck is going on? So at 2,500, you want to almost double your reticle distance. So I'm gonna, like, here's my reticle. I'm gonna double it and expect it to hit about here. Okay, so let's see if I'm close. Yeah. Right about there. Yeah. Okay. So see, that's a full reticle below. And I'm talking below the bottom. So you're adding another reticle here, and you're looking at the bottom of it to hit at 2,500. Okay. That one was not really actually aimed correctly. See, that's a whole other reticle right there, and you can hit that. So within 2,500, 2,000, 1,500, and 1,000 is where you're right at the bottom of the existing reticle. At 1,500, you're about halfway. At 2,000 and 2,500, you're almost twice as much, but you can still hit. So the fun part there is, you know, if you're sort of approaching a battle, or you're just starting one, for example, and you see them like way in the distance, and you just sort of want to get those initial shots in, once you dial that in, you know, if someone were standing on this ledge, that's about what, 20, it's about, I'm getting fogged up here, 2,000 meters or so. So if I want to hit somebody here, I'm aiming here, and I'm hitting them. See, blam, right there, exactly where they'd be standing. So you can do that. All right, so those are the main distances with large cannon. So once you get those down, once you know that within 1,000 meters you can pretty much train your dot right on the target, then all you're really accounting for is their movement and your movement. Okay, and that just takes a little practice. That's just going to take a little practice. You know, you have to, I'm like getting outnumbered here. Where's my team anyway? They're all spawning in some other direction. Okay, so if they're, oh, not that far. If they're moving, you know, across, you basically want to, if they're within that range, you want to keep your thing kind of trained, you know, just that much ahead of them, and to account for their distance, okay? But you don't have to worry about drop, okay? And it's only after you get to those outside ranges, do you have to worry about drop, okay? Other than that, it's more, you know, again, if they're moving one direction, you have to lead your reticle. Let me just pop back in here for like 1 or 2 more minutes to explain this. So these are the other 2 degrees of freedom. So you've got the drop, and then after that, you've got your movement. So if you're moving this like sideways from your target, you're gonna have to aim to the left of it, for example, if you're moving right. So let's say this rock right here is my target, okay? So here, head on, I'm just shooting head on. If I'm moving right, I need to aim left, okay? And I'm not moving that far right. But you see, I have to aim the other direction to account for it. Because if you're moving this way and you shoot, this is physics, your shell is moving the same speed with you. Okay, so if you're moving this way and you need to shoot something that's standing still here, you need to aim to the left of it because your shell, by the time it gets there, is going to move a little bit. If you're really close, like this, it's actually not going to move that much before it gets there. But if you're a little farther away, like this thing, let's see. See how much that moved off to the left? That's because it was moving with me. So even though I was aiming on one side, it followed along with me and it shot way left. So I would have had to have aimed right. So that's your movement. And then of course, finally is just the enemy's movement. So whichever direction, if they're moving in a certain direction, this guy's moving up a little, you know, you have to account for their movement. So it can certainly get tricky. Like there's someone moving pretty fast, right? Or at least he was. So now I'm moving left, but he's pretty close. Or I'm moving right. So I didn't have to account for too much drift. But I think you get the idea. If I'm moving, that's 1 degree of freedom. If they are moving, that's another degree of freedom. So if you're moving and they're at a distance, you have to account for range. You have to consider all 3 of those degrees of freedom. Once you remove any one of those, you know, you start accounting for them. I hope that makes sense. I think you get the idea, especially if you've played this weapon before. So I hope that helps a little bit. This is just sort of my quick primer on cannons. The small cannons are largely the same. They actually have a pretty decent range. So I'm shooting at, what is it? 2,000 meters here. You'll see that they'll travel 2,000 meters pretty consistently, but what happens with them is the drop is not so drastic. Even at 2,000 meters, they're sort of shooting at kind of the bottom of your reticule, but they vary a lot more. So they're not as dead on target, but I mean, I could still hit this guy if I'm accounting for the right lead. But you see they're sort of flopping around, so it's not quite as, you know, they're not quite as reliable in terms of dead center, but they don't drop as much. So what I'd recommend if you really want to practice these things is just do this. You know, go into like a place like Serpent Plains with pretty easy, you know, topography, and just get out there, look at that rangefinder, start to understand, you know, how far away things are, so you don't always have to pop down your viewfinder. Is that what it's called? Or is that what those little clickety things are called, right? Viewmasters, those are viewmasters. But you know, it's fine. Like, look, I don't know, that guy's like far away, so I want to just range him 1,900 meters. Okay, that means I want about a double. That was a little too high. I mean, if you're shooting that far, you may as well just use your scope, right? Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. But I'd be aiming about here for that guy. He was dropping. See, there's that other degree of freedom. He was dropping, and there we go. He's starting to get. I'm actually, you know what's happening here? I don't have to account as much. Is I'm shooting down at an angle. You see, so that's why I don't have to account for that full reticule distance between me and him. At 2,500, I'm usually going about here, but he's actually downhill, so that helps out, you know, my my aiming a bit. So I guess, hey, maybe there's another degree of freedom, right? The actual topography. Are you shooting down at someone, up at someone, or you know, what are you doing basically? All right. So again, you know, I don't write scripts for these things. I just shoot from the hip and try to get them out there. You know, maybe someday if I can retire early, I'll spend more time writing up scripts and editing my videos. But hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in Vox. Take it easy.